Great. In this final episode, we'll talk about the tangible value CIBR brings in terms of approval rates, risk containment, and more strategic credit growth. Welcome back, Ram. In the earlier episodes, we have discussed what is CIBR, its framework, and its applications. I was curious to know, understanding the India's business landscape, new business owners would have initially borrowed in their personal name. Later, they would have borrowed in the entity's name. Because of this, the business loan is split between the borrower's personal name and the business name. How is CIBR addressing this problem?
So this, Vipul, is a very long-standing issue within the MSME lending space, and it's a very nuanced question that you're asking. Right? Whenever an enterprise is being assessed, it is important to know two things. One, how the enterprise is behaving on the borrowings that is done. At the same time, how the promoters of the enterprise are behaving on their personal capacity. Right? This is becoming more prominent when you look at the micro enterprises, where usually the enterprise and the business owner are not different. So it is important to take a combined view of how the enterprises is performing through the CRIF India business rank,
Sure.
how the individual is performing through the CRIF credit score. And the lenders who use it effectively, they do use a crosstab. So there are multiple ways to look at it. So it is not very common to see. There are promoters or entrepreneurs who behave very well in their personal capacity borrowing, but that cannot be said about the borrowing that is happening on the entity and vice versa. So to look at both sides of the borrowing, to take a decision on the overall proposal is very, very prudent. So what we recommend is a crosstab of these two risk indices. One is the CRIF credit score on the personal capacity and the CRIF India business rank on the capacity of the entity. That gives a comprehensive view. The other problem is whenever a self-employed is applying for a loan application in their individual capacity, we need to be cognizant of the fact that the income for the self-employed to repay the loan is coming from the business, right? And therefore it is important to understand how the business is performing, right? In India, it is also common. I'm a proprietor. I do have two other proprietorship. I may also be a partner in a partnership firm. So how does a lender come to know the linkages of me as an individual self-employed with various businesses that I run directly or indirectly, right? For which we have a solution which is in fact recommended by RBI to give a comprehensive view to the lender with all the linkages to this particular individual. So this is called as a comprehensive CIR, Comprehensive Credit Information Report. While an individual self-employed is applying for a loan in his individual capacity, we will look up through the entire database of repository through commercial, consumer and the MFI repository, and we give you all the linkages that is available. Which means even if a self-employed is not disclosing his linkage with an entity, that is something that you will be able to identify through the comprehensive credit information report. And once this information comes into the light of the lender, then he can take a prudent decision with the availability of appropriate credit data. So that's a good question that you asked, I think, and this is how we propose to handle it.
Sure. Can you elaborate more on how lenders can leverage bureau data and CIBR for portfolio management?
The lenders who already are using our portfolio management services would know it, but I can share some of the best practices that I have seen across, right? The first one is to look at the data itself, right? When an enterprise is borrowing, they have become a part of your portfolio. A frequent or a periodic review of the entire portfolio would really be essential. What can you do with this? The first thing to understand is, anyway, lenders know how that particular entity is behaving with them. What they do not know on a periodic interval is how the entity is behaving on the loans that they've taken outside of that particular lender, right? So you have a on us, off us kind of a view that is available. It's a very time-tested methodology that lenders use this, right? So you can really segment the customer as to somebody who's good with you and also good outside, bad with you and also bad outside. So this gives you a sort of 9 different segmentation, and each of these segment can have a differential treatment, right? Where to ring fence your customer, cross-sell, upsell, where you need to be very cautious in terms of early warning, and where would initiate early collection and recovery processes. So this is a very, very effective framework which is time-tested and used by multiple lenders. On top of that, because the CIBR is a forward-looking rank, which can let you know even before a customer is defaulting, even before the actual default happens, CIBR can capture the risk and indicate to you that this customer is becoming riskier and more prone to default than the other, for which a periodic monitoring of CIBR and comparing the previous rank with the current rank will be able to really track the trajectory of that particular customer over a period of time. So these two in a combination is a very, very effective portfolio monitoring mechanism that most lenders should adopt and follow.
Well, Ram, since you explained that CIBR categorizes the customers in low, medium and high risk, it is pretty intuitive for a lender to take a decision on low risk and high risk customers. What about the customers who are qualifying for medium risk? Are you suggesting that lenders should avoid lending to customers who are qualifying for medium risk in CIBR rank?
Right. Vipul, as I mentioned, CIBR basically provides the risk separation within the set of borrowers that they have, right? CIBR 1 being the least riskiest or the best customers, and CIBR 13 being the high risk customers. So it's actually a gradation from a CIBR 1 to CIBR 13 with increasing levels of risk, right? It is clearly up to the risk appetite of the lenders to choose where do they apply the cutoff, right? There are certain set of lenders who are very, they price very low to the customers, and therefore they cannot afford to onboard high risk customers or medium risk customers. But then there are certain cohorts of lenders who by nature will have to charge slightly additional to accommodate the mid-risk lenders, right? The role of CIBR is not to give a cutoff for onboarding a customer or to reject a customer, but predominantly to give a view to the lender in terms of the risk associated with lending a particular customer. And then the lender can accordingly decide how they can structure the deal. It is not necessarily a go or a no-go decision, but it could also be a matter of how do they structure the deal in terms of collateral, in terms of loan-to-value ratio, in terms of additional guarantees that they may want to take or collateral they may want to take. So it is up to the lender to see how do they mitigate that risk. CIBR, as I said, it is something that is a risk scale which is empirically evidenced. So when we say it is a mid-risk customer, it carries a medium level risk in terms of funding that particular borrower, and we are able to tell you at a particular rank what is the expected rate of default. So that can be very useful for the lender to be able to decide what is the appropriate cutoff they wanted to deploy when it comes to onboarding customer through the lens of CIBR.
Sure. Okay, thank you, Ram. That explains it really well. The entire session has been really insightful, Ram. Thank you for your time.
Thank you very much, Vipul. Enjoyed it likewise. Thank you.
Well, so as the lending landscape evolves, data alone is not enough. It's the ability to translate data into clear actionables. Through these episodes, we have covered how CRIF has transformed data into intelligent decisioning tool through CIBR. For every lender aiming to balance growth with risk discipline, CIBR offers the clarity and confidence to make smarter decisions. Thank you for joining us on the Lending Dialogue. Follow CRIF India for more financial insights.